Now let's take a look at our adaptive reuse example project. So remember, on this project we have an urban setting. This is an old loft building. It's going to be mixed use, so we have retail down at the lower levels, we're going to have residential on the upper levels, and then some added units up at the very top. So what would be the issues from a sort of code compliance? Like, what would you be worried about from code compliance when you're starting to approach this kind of project? Well, there's a number that come to mind right away. First of all, any project, you're always going to be worried about safety of the people, so fire safety issues, and that's going to have a lot to do with fire ratings. So what fire ratings might be at issue here? Well, clearly, we're going to have exit ways and corridors and things like that that are all going to be part of that egress path, the stairwells and everything. So some of those might be existing, probably because it's a new type of use. There's probably going to be a bunch of new ones there. So making sure that both the older ones and the new ones meet the sort of current requirements for egress path. So that's going to be important. The distance, egress distance, is going to be kind of a big deal. So the idea that, if you have a building where there's one big space and there's a stairwell over here and there's a stairwell over there, and this is all kind of an open working office, working manufacturing area, it's relatively easy. If you're working on something and something goes wrong, you can kind of find your way over, or you can find your way over and get to those stairs. But if this building is now in our new configuration, there's some very complicated corridor because you're trying to fit certain things in. There's now a stairwell, very sort of odd locations, and this unit has a lot of different individual rooms in it. So suddenly the egress path from here is I got to get through all of that into that corridor and then down around. So that egress path can start to become kind of torturous and sometimes too long. There's going to be limitations to how far somebody has to go before they get to the safe zone of one of those stairwells, one of those smoke towers or fire-rated stairwells that would provide at least some safety in an emergency. So those would be important questions to think about. How long of a distance I have? Well, that might be affected by whether what the structural system is, what the construction system is, but also whether I have a sprinkler or not. I might get a bonus distance if there's a sprinkler in this building. So you're again sort of back and forth thinking, would I rather put in another stair in order to be able to reduce those distances? How much would that cost? Would I rather put in the sprinkler system? What are the different approaches that I could use in order to meet one of those issues? That would be the kind of thing you'd be making sure you understood early on, because that's a big impact on the design and the cost of a project. What other kinds of issues would there be? Well, clearly we have two very significantly different types of uses. So you'd want to make sure you are meeting all of the zoning and building code issues for the retail, and also meeting all the zoning and building code issues for the residential. By sheer fact that this is a mixed use and that there's these two separate elements, you can be pretty sure that that floor system for the second floor, i.e. the ceiling of the first floor, is going to be a fairly highly fire-rated structure of some sort, because you're effectively separating two completely different types of uses, and there's always a sense of danger, kind of control that you're looking to have in those situations, whether it's vertical separation by side elements, or a horizontal separation for the retail down low and then the residential above. I can pretty much guarantee you this is probably going to be at least a 2-hour floor separation between that first floor and the second floor, whereas the other floors might only be a 1 hour or something like that. So that idea of mixed use is going to bring a whole series of its own sets of issues, and you'd want to make sure you were covered for all of those things.